So where did I leave off? Yeah, that's right. I just found out the one person on this godforsaken plot of land that I had considered to be on my side before Mark showed up is dead. That's right, folks. The lady in the tree wasn't mad at me, she wasn't ignoring me. She had been deceased for almost a year now. She's the one who really provided me with the means to survive over the past 3 years. She gave me a gun with magic bullets. She gave me hearing and an ear that had been destroyed. She gave me antidotes, alcohol. I'm pretty sure she even did my laundry once. I also can't help but think that she has something to do with the fact that the spirit preacher couldn't possess me. The most important thing she gave me, though, was her trust. Based on the few times she had directly communicated with me through letters, she had always alluded to the fact that I was supposed to be the one to help cleanse this land of the supposed darkness. Like I was the chosen one or some shit. Whether I'm actually special or not, though, she trusted me absolutely, and I failed. In her mind, I was battling these monsters and scaring them away from here. I was the hero she had been waiting on, for she couldn't find the creatures directly due to some sort of oath. In reality, all I've done for the past 3 years was dig around and get lucky. I've never gone out looking to solve the monster problems around here. Even when I set the trap for Camo, that was purely selfish and reasoning. I was just annoyed by his constant attempts at trapping me. I didn't do it for the greater good of the land. Looking at my own life, I've really never done much to serve anyone else but myself. Even the stuff I did after my dad was killed, I wasn't avenging him. I was getting revenge for me. I don't know why she ever decided that I was the one that would make things right. What instincts had told her that I was the man that would finally change something? I really wish she had never decided on me in the first place, because that fact alone is why as I typed this in my hospital bed, my throat is hurting and my lip is trembling. Actually, that might be the hospital's food's fault. Not really sure at this point. Enough sad monologuing, time to get back to what happened. Sonia had some explaining to do, and I fully expected to get every ounce of useful intel from her. First question I needed to answer was what the hell happened to the lady in the tree. Sonia, what happened to her? She looked at the ground. It was obvious that she was dreading having to explain this to me. She snuck into what was left of my shelter in the middle of the night after Skinny attacked the Ponderosa. She told me. At this, Mark, who seemed to materialize from nowhere, cut her off. Look, I understand you want to get right to the part where the tree lady died, but first there's some other questions that need answers. Why did Skinny attack in the first place? Do you know where he came from? Do you know how to stop him? I turned to argue with Mark because I was the one who wanted to get to the part where she died, but unfortunately, Mark was right. Yeah, as much as I want to hear about what became of the lady in the tree, we need to start from the beginning. Now, what was that about you saying that some of these monsters popping up were your fault? I guess Mark hadn't heard that part of the previous conversation, because now he looked at me with a surprised etch into his face. Sonia was even slower to answer this time. Well, Cole, it wasn't my fault per se. You know how stubborn and persistent Hector can be, right? I didn't really like where this was going, but I had a pretty good idea. Yeah, I mean, he tried to kill me, 6 times, I think? Without thinking, Sonia replied, 9, but that's not what's important. What is important is that Hector has been trying to summon Cthulhu for years now, but in the last year, he's finally started having progress, sorta. Mark chimed in. What exactly does this progress consist of? The young cultist paused for a moment. Deep, I thought. Well, that attempts at summoning rituals started working, just not as we planned. Things were coming through the portals we created. The things weren't what we meant to summon though. So far, we have summoned a 15-foot tall cloaked tentacle man that has been kidnapping our brothers and sisters on a regular basis until recently. The baby doll monster you both just saw, and spirit that keeps creating minor inconveniences like broken plates and shoelaces being stolen from the respective shoes. But this last thing we summoned, and by far the most vicious, was the shapeshifter. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, so let me get this straight. You people are responsible for the tall man, the ghost preacher bitch, that baby doll abomination, and Skinny? Was there ever a point where you thought damn, these rituals aren't really helping us very much. Maybe we should stop. Sonia shrugged as she looked at me. This is Hector we are talking about. She had a point. Hector doesn't know when to quit. Mark decided to pipe up again. And what finally happened to convince you that these rituals were a bad idea? When the shapeshifter killed half of us and then only stopped after saying that he was going to take a nap and come back for the rest of us later. That's a pretty solid reason, I said after considering what she said. So was it during Skinny's nap that the lady in the tree came to talk to you? I asked. Yeah, it was a few hours after the attack. The community was absolute chaos while Hector tried to calm everyone down. I was in my shed trying to figure out what I absolutely needed to take with me when I fled. That's when I hear a woman whisper hey to me. It was her. Immediately, I knew she wasn't one of us because, well, she doesn't wear much in the way of clothes and we are very strict about our dress code here. What did she want? This time, Sonia took a deep breath and closed her eyes before answering. She said that she had a way to save us from the shapeshifter, but she had a message and a few things that she needed to leave with me. After telling me this, she went back outside for a moment, and when she came back, she was carrying 3 large nets. She explained that the nets were for the man that lived up the hill, you, and that I was to give them to you as soon as possible. She also says she had thought of a way to keep the shapeshifter from attacking anyone again until you had a chance to deal with him. This revelation puzzled me. I knew for a fact that the lady in the tree couldn't directly attack or harm any creature as part of an oath. Mark stayed silent, deep in thought. I, on the other hand, kept on pressing Sonia for answers. So why the fuck didn't you tell me any of this sooner? This information would have been, I don't know, like a year ago. Sonia flinched as I finished my sentence. Honestly, Cole, I was just scared that if you saw me, you would kick the shit out of me. I guess I can't blame her for that one. I did kick the shit out of Hector right in front of her a couple of years ago. Okay. Did she tell you how she planned on doing this? She never got the chance to. Before she could explain any further, we heard screaming along with the sound of ripping metal outside. We rushed out to see a 9-foot-tall Ronald McDonald ripping someone in half while laughing like a madman. The Native American woman looked at me one last time and said, "Make sure to tell Cole that he alone can send these beasts back to using those nets. He may not know yet, but he will know what to do when the time comes. The elder spirits will guide and protect them." With that, the Indian woman took off towards the shapeshifter, which was now a giant werewolf. As she got closer, she started screaming some words I didn't understand. She also started glowing blue, which was odd. She finally got the shape. Just call him Skinny, it's catchier. Sonia seemed kind of annoyed that I interrupted her, but she continued all the same. She's got Skinny's attention when she stopped 5 feet in front of him. She was lit up like a blue glow stick at this point. She had stopped chanting at this point and was just standing in front of Skinny trying to catch her breath when Skinny said, "Well, aren't you different? I never killed a glowing one before," and proceeded to casually swipe at her with a clawed hand. Indian woman didn't flinch, but when the first claw made contact with her, there was a deafening boom, accompanied by an explosion of what looked like red mist. "Skinny can vaporize people?" I blurted, now a little more wary of my plans to attack the entity. Sonia was quick to set me straight though. No. She did something to herself with those incantations. Before that point, all Skinny had done was shred people into smaller portions of people. Mark muttered in response. Probably some curse that she set on herself as a trap so that when Skinny attacked her, it would trigger. This would bypass her rule of not being able to cause direct harm to other creatures since in a way, Skinny cursed himself by attacking her out of his own will. Did anything change about Skinny's behavior after the lady in the tree, you know? Mark slid his thumb across his throat in a slicing motion. As he finished, he glanced over at me with what looked like pity in his eyes. "Yes, what's your name?" His look of pity quickly turned into a look of annoyance. "Mark," the expert said with a growl. "Yes, Mark." His behavior did change. See, after the Indian woman disappeared, it only took a few seconds for Skinny to regain his composure. He almost immediately started laughing, then said, "What the hell was that? A suicide bomber attempt? Pathetic." However, as he lunged to grab yet another one of my sisters, he fell to the ground writhing in agony. He got up and tried again and again, but each time he attempted to attack someone, he was met with a paralyzing pain. So the curse makes it so that Skinny can't hurt anyone? I asked, apprehensively, because 6 months ago, Skinny smacked the dog shit out of me and I almost died. Not quite. See, the curse has one catch. We found that out when Martin, Cthulhu bless his soul, tried to take advantage of his inability to attack and launched an assault of his own. But when his baseball bat made contact with the creature, he was immediately struck down by a clawed hand. I slapped my palm against my forehead. Ah, that makes sense. So, he can only attack if you attack first. That's why he tries to get us pissed at him. He made it seem like he was trying to lure us outside to disguise the fact that he was actually luring us into attacking him. Both Sonia and Mark looked at me somewhat startled for a moment before Mark spoke up. Cole, pardon me, but I'm honestly only used to you saying stupid shit, but I think you're actually right this time. I started to argue, but quickly realized he was right. Fuck you, Mark. So do I kill or banish Skinny by tossing one of those nets on him and yelling whatever magic words come into my head? Wait, how the actual fuck did I know what magic words to use? Sonia answered me with, yeah, I don't really understand that either, but let's just roll with it. Just then I heard Mark say, what the fuck? From right behind me. This was odd since Mark had been standing in front of me for a few minutes now. I turned around and sure enough, there was a second Mark behind me. This meant either Skinny had just walked up pretending to be Mark, or even worse, he had been talking to us that whole time and now knew everything that we knew. Sonia and I both backed away from the Marks as they stared at each other in confusion, and then back at me. The Mark on the left yelled, throw the net on it, now is your chance to end him. The other fired back, no, he's trying to trick you, throw it on him, fast. After a moment of thought, I said, okay, so I think I have a way to figure this out. Whichever one of you is the real Mark just has to punch the other Mark to prove you can attack first. Both Marks shouted, but then he'll kill me. At this, Sonia whispered in my ear, damn, he's good. But I already knew what my next move was. Sonia, give me one of those nets. As she handed me one of the nets that was laying on the ground next to her, I started walking towards the Marks until I was right in front of them. A wicked grin spread across my face as I said, alright, here's a question not only the real Mark would know the answer to. How did I get the tall man to run away? The Mark on the left quickly responded, you cut off a tentacle, but couldn't Skinny have seen that? I now looked at Mark on the right to see how he planned to respond to the situation. All he did was squint his eyes at me and sigh, then, in a defeated tone, say, you took off your clothes and ran at him naked until he fled. Satisfied by his answer, I slung the net over the top of the leftmost Mark's head and yelled the new magic words, Eklaha Chalerica. Not really sure why the magic words that came out of my mouth were different from the ones that came out when I got rid of the baby doll monster, but like Sonia said, I guess we just roll with it. As the runes that were carved into the rocks that outlined the net started to glow red and Skinny was swallowed by the smoke, I heard him utter, no fucking way, in a deep voice. Then as the smoke that swallowed him was blown away by a breeze, he was gone. Pretty anticlimactic, right? I was honestly kinda hoping for some badass battle where we fought to the death and I got to stab him with a magic wooden spear that was like a final gift from the lady of the tree or something while saying something cool. But in the end, Skinny was defeated by an immature inside joke. That's it. I mean, yeah, the tall man is still out there somewhere, but Skinny is done. The lady in the tree got her wish. That's all I really could hope to accomplish. Mark was pretty pissed off at me for putting his life on the line and risking sending him to another dimension on the basis of him remembering an inside joke. In response to his anger, I just told him that I had faith in him, and in the end, that's all that mattered. All he said in return was, fuck you, I need a beer. I didn't tell him how I had really figured out who was the real when they both said, but then he'll kill me in unison. See, the new Mark that had just walked up shouldn't have known the rules of the curse, since he hadn't been there to hear about them. All I can figure is that Skinny probably had been listening in disguise as a cultist and decided to enter the conversation and stop us before we came up with a plan to kill him. I really just wanted Mark to believe that I was dumb enough to put his life on the line for something that Skinny could have easily heard, had he been eavesdropping at the right time. Serves him right for basically calling me a dumbass earlier. After Skinny was dealt with, Mark and I shared an uncomfortable couple of goodbyes with the cultists, most of whom hadn't even noticed what had happened, including Hector, much less appreciated the fact that we just got rid of the single most vile creature that had ever inhabited this land. But I was okay with that. The fact that the Lady in the Tree's killer was gone for good was enough for me. Some of you are probably asking, wait, if that's all that happened, then why were they both in the hospital? Well, that actually happened when the headquarters of the monster hunting organization that Mark works for summoned both of us to be interrogated about the events that led to the destruction of Skinny, which they knew to be an extremely high-level threat. After all the paperwork and questioning was over with, Mark offered to take me out for a drink. I accepted. Long story short, don't drink and drive, kids. They even took up our electronics for the first week we were in here. Claimed it was so they could scan them, but I knew it was just punishment for damaging a company armored SUV. Anyways, that's pretty much it for now. I'll try to keep posting, but now that Skinny is gone, the land seems a lot more relaxed. Hope y'all enjoyed the tale of how I finally killed Skinny. This is Cole, signing off.
Big up to all my peoples. I done dug into my bag of tricks, came up with some different skits. Not your average mafia, I be on some different shit. You know I'm pimping shit that make you use your mind. So if you can fill in the blanks, do it when it's time. Come on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Feel like I'm in hell, but I wish I wasn't. Yeah, you got it, now knock it while I rock it. I stick plugs in the socket and money in my... Yo, I get psychotic when you try to diss my staff. No props for you.